So it seems like we take a long time to do things, maybe we're lazy, I don't know. We definitely do have a lot of things to say though. And they seem like a very important, powerful, potent things to say, and I'm happy with this place in relativity and ability or in motioning that we come right now in reality. We went through some very hard code shapes coming here from Sedona to Maui. Just hard code shapes within in the mind. Hard code shapes, making sure we're doing the right thing. Once we got here, many things happened. She had a kidney infection, which created a great softening and harmony and humility within me. Yeah, a great love and deep and compassion for my dear, wonderful partner and friend, and teammate on this amazing, beautiful journey of videoing, channeling for all of consciousness, and learning and growing together how to teach and how to learn and many things. A great, beautiful, sexual, romantic experience as well. Very gorgeous. And we eat food too. It's fun. Drink coffee. Live our lives. Great harmony in bliss. Caring about the same thing. How beautiful to be in symbiosis. That both of us have the same desire and so the same focus. So we're not feeling accosted by each other's frequencies. We just feel an amazing synchronicity or an alignment and symmetry. Sometimes she wonders if she's enough and she's worthy and that maybe she's taking away or something. But I cannot see this myself. I cannot tell you the most amazing benefit that happens every day when I just simply look at her beautiful being in front of me. And so wonderful, you know. And not just at her body or anything, it's not, whatever, but at her beautiful face, her amazing, phenomenal eyes, and her expression towards me, her love that she has for me. I see so much. It's just like, goodness, her sweetness, her realization, her confidence, her insecurity, her everything. She's so sweet, so gorgeous, so meek, so meager, so strong, so adept, so adept. Is adept the right word? No, no, no,
I
no.
don't think so.
No,
But
it's
I
adept.
could
It's
be
adept.
enough.
It's adept. Okay, just make sure. So adamant. No, no, no. So amazing of you. And so, a beautiful blessing is all of life, and so we're feeling really amazing, really phenomenally confident, and coming back into the flow, very powerful. Past couple evenings, whenever I'm in my flow, I feel strong. I feel exactly precise on point. But that's the point of the flow. You become very soft to where the flow moves you in such a way that you become so on point with all the things around you, to where a great confidence in your positioning is occurring naturally. And so I always like that as affirmation and reminding, but I also don't like to do it at a point of anxiety or fixation that I would maybe do my motion to prove myself where I was. I want to always rest and settle, knowing where I am, without any kind of external stimuli to prove to me where I am. Because it does not matter what happens in the world, I am always pure awareness, and so is everything. We are always perfect, exactly as we are, no matter. And so I always don't have to prove this to myself. And so when I feel nice and settled, then I get back into my flow when it's not moving from force or anxiety to make up for what was in the past. Because here we are, completely centered in exactly where we need to be, exactly the consciousness we're supposed to have, and exactly the way we are right now. So, maybe we get up now and do a little bit of motion exercise. Yes? That sounds good. Let's do this. Maybe we could just do this right here, actually, in this little space. Now that Dayton's not here, getting us water, locking up this space with his beautiful buddy. There we go. Can you see me very well or no? If you can't catch the whole body, then we'll go somewhere else.
No, I can.
Okay. Maybe this would be good for hearing too. Oh, I'm all lightheaded. I'm all like a drunken old bastard that doesn't do any exercise ever. Just all tired, fatigued, and eager, and weak, and more weak. I'm just like, oh goodness, look at me, fragile, tons of fragility. No, I feel strong as fuck actually in this motion this time. While I'm saying these funny things. Oh, so strong. Cool. Yeah, and so we just kind of let the whole thing open itself. For me, I'm doing this funny shaking thing. But this is actually something that'll be more hard to feel. But maybe not. Maybe you're the kind of person that somehow did something in your life that makes this easier to feel. Then you may have other motions that are harder to feel. It just depends. Because this is more of a fast motion. If you're easier fast motion, it may be harder slow motion. It may not be. It just all depends. For me, I just opened up and leaned to the side and my leg lifted And then I started doing this motion, and then I thought about stopping it, but because the motion was so strong, I didn't have the ability to omit the continuance of it. As before, I showed you something, and then I kind of backed out, and so this time, because I just didn't back, I backed out just slightly the last time. This time I'm less prone to backing out because I've set a pattern previous of greater refining than where it was coming, and so I'm on an upward spiraling flow with this. And so it's very beautiful with that. Downward spirals are fine too. At any moment, we can just rest present with wherever it is we are, whether we be going down or up, and we'll find us then in the center. And when we find ourselves in the center, it'll be very easy for us to balance ourselves. And it's very funny, right when I said the center, I stopped in a way that lost focus of what it was I was doing previous, and I'm like, oh shoot, what am I going to do now? And so I started going to the next motion, but the next motion didn't know if it was very balanced or not, and so even more observation. And then now it's coming back to another even flow where I'm following again. The original motion that continued is this beginning. And so for me at this time, because I can feel my foot so all the way around, I can feel very subtly when it hits a tension point, which is the external of one of the outside curvatures or shapes of the foot. And when that tension point is felt even slightly, I can use that to round my motion or to curve with it instead of go deeper into that motion. And so that kind of creates a slingshotting of the energy in a certain way, and creates a motioning of the energy in a certain manner, and allows a certain centered following through that presence. You know, it's actually insanely easy to keep balance. It turns out that your balance may actually rest on your awareness alone, your attention alone, which is kind of interesting to the chord shape that is the usual common expression expressed when talking about balancing on, what do they call that, a sling? What do they call that, do you know? A tightrope, yeah, but it's the slack lines, that's what it is, yeah, the slack lines. They tell you to look at the tree in front of you instead of look at your feet. Now that makes perfect sense when you're talking about this form of centering on the feeling. Of course, for me, I wouldn't maybe center on the tree, but I can see that when I have centered on beings and all kinds of things in that manner, kind of like I am on this camera, that it does create a point of focus and awareness that's actually here in the present tangible energy expression of what is kind of like a solid reality through that amazing awareness and focus, through that attention, through that presence with an object. And so it creates a positioning like a crutch or like a tripod, like, oh, I'm here, now I'm balanced on here. And so you can do that with the entirety of the feeling body, balancing on the self. And you'll notice that when you follow the feeling always moves in the path of least resistance, that is always on a balance point of the body, very naturally. And so for me, when I lose balance, it's due to focusing on something around, losing my place, and then trying to jump back into it in a certain way, or it's also into not having the body as open as what it could be, or being weaker in a muscle group than what is usually naturally possible through the constant progression of flow, through the consistent practicing every day, or the constant doing of it every day. And so yeah, it's really beautiful, really wonderful. A lot is learned through moving. It's very formless, so there's not a way to bring yourself to the greatest of successes in some way, as no matter what you do, you will complete a cycle in some manner and learn from it. And just by doing, the practice refines itself, just like the path of the Bodhisattva, and just like all of consciousness itself. The path refines itself. So that's why you don't have to touch other people's paths, because their path, no matter what, is going to refine themselves. Now that doesn't mean you don't have to touch it, because you're allowed to do whatever you're allowed to do, and you're allowed to do anything. I mean, just like, well, whatever you're allowed to do. I mean, you know, sometimes you could be put down by society's rules, but, you know, whatever that is. But anyways, you're free, you know, and they're free, and everybody's free to be however they wish to be authentically. Now, the way you wish to be authentically, if based in attack or defense or dissonance, the belief in duality that hasn't come into unconditional love for all of themselves, then you're probably going to be creating reverberation, which will create you
which will create for you an agitation, a dissonance, an uncomfortability, a dissatisfaction, which will lead you to learning and growth and refining of your frequency. And so that's how the path, again, refines itself. And so for this, the slower you can go, meaning just the more present you can go with the foot, and the loose you can go too. So sometimes the foot wants to go into motions that you think you know about, but you don't know about. And so you might want to jump before, expecting the energy to go a certain way. And that may lead you to actually pinch the channel of progression that was happening for that particular entering into motioning of the flow. And so that's why just following it and not leading it, allowing it to lead you, this is a surrender to the breath and to the moment, to the feeling, will really allow you to see what's going on. So for me right now, I'm practicing that deeply because I'm speaking to you while being present with the feeling, while showing something. So it takes a ridiculous amount of confidence because I've never done this in this manner, and my feet have never been open in this way. And so right now, I'm feeling the feet. Well, they have been open, but yeah, in this way, doing this thing in this manner, uniquely, absolutely isn't new. And so I'm feeling things for the first time in a long time that maybe I haven't ever felt even. And doing that here on the camera flow while speaking and trusting that my hand motions, the feeling motion, and all those things are going to keep me in some kind of balance that doesn't make me look like an idiot. And what's helping me do that is that even if I am to fall, I trust so much in the perfection that no matter what happens after that, I know it's for the highest benefit of all beings everywhere without one exception. So there's really just no reason to direct me not to fall. And so every point and reason through many experiences to trust the moment and the feeling and the validity of what it is that's being transferred through this teaching. And because I've seen it so many times, so many countless times, so many thousands and thousands of times. And so it's wonderful to actually be able to transmit the articulation of this frequency and teaching for the benefit of all beings, as I see it to be of the highest potent potential ever. You know, I'm so extremely gorgeously excited about this. But so you follow in with the feeling. Right now, we've been standing quite still, and I wonder to myself, am I in a point of stagnation? Did I stop flow? Did I create fixation? Was I supposed to move with the breath in some way? Is this the exact positioning, posturing in which my frequency needs to be moving? Do I need to put my foot down on the sand because I felt the sand just there? What am I doing? What's happening? Oh, I moved my hand a little to the left, and then I had to rock my hand to the right in about an equal balance in order to come recenter to the present moment where I was. Okay, so what's happening? Okay, this movement, it's kind of a forced. There's like a lot of tension in that movement, a lot of tension in that movement, a lot of tension, a lot of tension, a lot of tension. Okay, we're just gonna rest again because there was so much tension in all the movement points. So it's like, okay, because there's way more tension than the motion that led me to this position, it's probable that those are not the channels of least resistance that this motion, which had a greater fluidity, is leading me into. So that means I'm probably in the channel right now, and it's a resting posture that's taking this form and shape at this angle for a length and duration until the karmas of the world around me have arranged themselves to provide myself the space of movement in the direction necessary for me to move with great fluidity with the entirety of my being. And so there we go, we had it right there. We were waiting for that teaching to come through, where I would describe the moment as it was happening in such a way that would bring the arising of wisdom awareness through the direct experience of what was here right now happening presently. And it's amazing how potent the present moment is constantly, and so we can constantly do this with any tiny motioning or any tiny gesturing or any tiny significant looking at anything that happens to be occurring within any one of our realities at any time. And that's amazing. That's how we'll finally eventually be able to reflect how the Fibonacci sequence is reflected in all moments entirely, always, in every way. Now, this will be harder to see depending on the amount of information it is that we're viewing, and eventually we may be moved to a point in consciousness to where everything has no choice but to reflect this even within our physical awareness, within the present physical actual reality around us, which all things are actual reality, but this way that we gesture to something that we know commonly to be real in a way of great solidity. And then it will be very reflective of what is happening to not only us subtly, but also here physically, and how they're all grounding into the same integration of understanding within the entirety of all of our energy bodies. And that will be of great significance and really amazing. adjectives or contributing to our energy. I don't know. Yeah. I'm hoping that was the antenna of those three words. It was very difficult for me to follow that chord structure at that moment. Sorry, we're following syllables and curvatures, and so that's what's happening with that. And as I express this, I see that a wisdom is coming through the knowledge and the awareness of the expression of what just happened previous that seemed to be a mistake, but now has become a wisdom in such a way as I don't know how the world could have existed without it. And so that's what we'll always see when we follow chord structures all the way through to their fullness, through the end of their cycle. And that's what we're always talking about going all the way, so that we sow that seed within our everything. There was a teaching given to me upon the teaching of the Book of Life that how we do one thing is how we do all things. So at that time, I noticed in myself, well, if I change then how I do one thing, then I'll change then how I do all things. So I decided how I would do all things was impeccably. And I started to route all my actions to that of impeccability, finishing cycles, doing all kinds of things in that manner. And that changed the whole of my life and the entire way in which all of consciousness was able to reflect towards me by the giving of my own energy, by the sowing of seed, which was just my natural, most subtle actioning and greatest simplicity. How I was viewing myself, everything, and how I was conducting myself right here immediately upon the start of motion. So here we go. Very nice. Thank you so much. I hope that you were able to hear all that. I hope it wasn't too loud out here. I know we were hearing the ocean earlier. I hope this really works out for us. How are you doing, Miss Rainy Faso Watito? What's going on? How you doing?
I'm working on my muscles.
Very beautiful. Yeah, you always want to make sure that you're very patient with your muscles, that you don't overextend your muscles, that you listen to your body, and that way it can tell you where you need to go, tell you what you want to know. And sometimes it is just simply that we cannot rush our healing, we cannot rush our growth, and that yes, we need to rest and we need to wait, and that all of consciousness is giving us this in a very beautiful, perfect, and spacious way, and that we can be patient and enjoy wherever we are and accept ourselves for whatever pace we're able to be able to go. And that will be very beneficial for actually much more rapid growth than when we were destroying ourselves previous. We will rise very subtly, easily, effortlessly, nicely, naturally, well-foundedly, and that's a really beautiful and amazing thing. That's also one of the greatest things about this flow exercise is that it moves all the connector muscles, which usually don't get worked through normal exercise, and gives us a greater ease of motion that kind of gives us a hopping sensation with our feet as we are so ridiculously strong and springy within the entire skeletal structure of our being, as it's all connecting to each other, helping each other with every one of its motionings. And that in itself is not only good for the rising of one's consciousness, but it's simply good for bodies everywhere all around. As it brings an amazing, beautiful fullness to life to be able to move with such an effortless fluidity through the actions of our life that we will see an immediate benefit, that's for sure. But these motions that I'm talking about, they are an energy practice of meditation, as to surrender to the moment and non-doing, to effortless flow, to the limitless flow that's constantly occurring here presently now. If we do it, the things that will stop us from doing it, the obscurations of our mind, our ego understandings, our stories, our agreements, the things that stop us from realizing ourselves fully and stop ourselves then from resting within the eternal, amazing, surrendered bliss of the present moment as who we actually are, what everything actually is. It will all come up, and it will all come to surface, and we will be able to work with it through the motion itself and through the simple continuation of the motion. No matter what has occurred, we can learn how to flow with all of the curvatures of our life.
It's nice listening to Undine because it's less thought.
Absolutely. It's like music. She said when she listens to me while talking while she's doing it, it's like less thought. It's like if you overload the senses, you won't have room for thought. That's what happens when you go fully into something. You no longer have room for thought. Only because you've not used yourself all the way do you have any room for anything seemingly to enter. And that thing that seemingly enters is simply the story of why you would not go all the way, not be full. You know, because most things in the animal kingdom, you always see them in very full. Even in their subtlety, they're being full with it. fully sleeping, fully doing this, fully doing that. We also could be fully stretched out in every one of the things that we're doing. We find ourselves expanding well in the knowing and of ourselves and the contrast of our being and the confidence of where we are currently standing as we are, no matter how we are. And so we'll come into all kinds of things like that too, about stretching the arms, being very symbolic of stretching the energy body. Very beautiful. Why certain postures are being held. You see me, I'm all hunchy, because we sit all day, hunched over, all crazy. But eventually my breath comes in and I become more of a breath practitioner than a lazy loafer, and my back will just immediately straighten. My back already does it when I breathe, but right now I'm out of my breath so much to it. This and this. Oh yeah, this is the most natural posture, obviously. Can you see how I just rested? It's like, oh yeah, wow. Obviously this is much more natural than this weird, hunchback and Notre Dame posture I got going on. But whatever. It's fine. It's kind of harder to move the whole system together when your back's not straight too, I gotta tell you. It kind of like makes everything nice and loose. I don't know why. It's nice that way. Shaking is a really good practice too, it moves a lot of energy out of you. It's everything sped up in a really big way. Something about friction, flame, heat, friction, it's all faster moving atoms. You get things moving faster, now you got faster energy going on, more energy potential. Very powerful, very beautiful. So shaking, very good for that. Shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now. Come on, baby. Work it on out. Work it on out. Oh, you twisted little thing. You twisted little thing. You twist so fine. Twist so fine. Twist a little closer now. Twist a little closer. Let me know that you're mine. Let me know you're mine. Oh, 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 oh. Woo! Working now. All right, so we're doing good. Feeling, allowing the feeling to lift us, allowing the feeling to lift us, allowing the feeling, 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 oh, oh, whoa, oh. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, 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 whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, Thank you.